Here are the differences I noticed between the 1987 book and the 2025 graphic novel of Sweet Valley Twins, Sneaking Out. The graphic novel has dedications. The twins don't talk about Bruce for a bit. Elizabeth dislikes him for being rich and lazy. The graphic novel introduces a storyline where Jessica promises to help Elizabeth find a dress. Elizabeth complains every time Jessica doesn't do it. Johnny throws his hat at a movie premiere. In the book, it's a hotel. They remove the part where Jessica throws a sulky temper tantrum until Elizabeth gives her the hat. When talking about the letters she sent to Johnny, Jessica doesn't mention that she thinks he'll join the unicorns. Graphic novel Elizabeth is a buzzkill who says they won't be attending any concerts without parental permission first. At dinner, Mom and Dad say the twins can't go to the concert. In the book, Stephen is the one who breaks the bad news. They remove the scene where the twins talk to Mom about the concert before dinner starts. The ticket price is raised from $25 to $60. Dad doesn't pull his lawyer routine on the girls when explaining why they can't go to the concert. Elizabeth complains about dress shopping for the second time. Jessica puts up babysitting flyers and checks her phone to see if she got a job. In the book, she calls people directly and asks them if they need chores done. Elizabeth complains about dress shopping for the third time. Jessica's blouse is changed to a jacket. The jacket is changed from purple to yellow. Jessica doesn't tell Elizabeth she's invited Amy to their house. Elizabeth is not reluctant to help Amy avoid Jessica's trick. Elizabeth complains about dress shopping for the fourth time. Elizabeth complains about dress shopping for the fifth time. The dog-sitting flyer has been completely changed. It changed the color. It's now typed out instead of handwritten. Mrs. Bramble's name is no longer on the flyer, and the dog-sitting job is changed from 3 days to 4. They remove the scene where Jessica asks Elizabeth to stand guard so she can call Mrs. Bramble without being interrupted. Jessica hates dogs is changed to Jessica is scared of dogs. Jessica complains far less about dogs, too. The twins don't talk about dance class. The dog does not sit in Jessica's lap. They skip over Mrs. Bramble giving Jessica 10 minutes of dog care instructions. Jessica feels slightly guilty for lying to Mrs. Bramble. The mystery meat with scalloped potatoes is changed to meatloaf with something I can't identify. Lila and Jessica bought their tickets before school. In the book, they do it after school. It takes longer for Jessica to convince Elizabeth to keep secret about her plans to sneak out to the concert. There's Elizabeth dress storyline number 6. The graphic novel adds a scene where Jessica convinces Elizabeth to help her pick up the dog. Jessica doesn't scream and call for help because the dog ran between her legs. Jessica pretends she slipped and hurt her foot. In the book, she pretends she dropped the dog bed on her toe. They add a scene of the twins going home with the dog. There's Elizabeth dress storyline number 7. Jessica forces Mom to feed the dog. In the book, she makes Elizabeth do that. There's Elizabeth dress storyline number 8. When Jessica complains she can't walk the dog because she has pains, Elizabeth argues with Jessica more. We get Elizabeth dress storyline number 9 when Elizabeth leaves, and Elizabeth dress storyline number 10 when she returns. They remove one of the scenes where Jessica pressures Elizabeth into doing her homework. They add a scene where Jessica ditches Elizabeth to hang out with the unicorns. That would be Elizabeth dress storyline number 11. Mom takes Elizabeth dress shopping, so that finally brings an end to this ongoing dress storyline. Jessica's dream fantasy about Johnny Buck signing her cap is changed to a dream fantasy about dancing with him. The Wakefields have a family group chat on their phones. That's how Jessica learns nobody's home today. In the book, Elizabeth and Julie briefly stop by to explain nobody's going to be home today. On the dog walk, the cat appears before Brooke does. In the book, Brooke appears first. They remove the scene where the cat's owner appears and Jessica helps get the cat out of the tree. Jessica kindly introduces herself to Brooke. In the book, she instantly hates Brooke forever, which is far more in character for Jessica. Jessica filling the dog's water bowl is moved up a few pages, so it happens right before Mrs. Bramble's phone call. In the book, the dog drinks 3 bowls of water. That's why Jessica puts the dog outside. She doesn't want the dog to pee on the carpets. In the graphic novel, just 1 water bowl. Jessica ties up the dog with its leash. In the book, she uses a clothesline. Jessica texts Elizabeth about the dog. In the book, she leaves a note behind. Elizabeth texts Jessica multiple times, but Jessica doesn't check her phone, so it makes no difference. The concert is set at a stadium. In the book, it's an outdoor concert by the lake. The book makes a bigger deal out of Johnny's microphone cutting out. The graphic novel makes up lyrics to Johnny's songs. Jessica and Bruce are in line for merchandise, not food. Bruce and Jessica flirt with each other. The graphic novel splits up the concert into 2 parts. That makes the concert feel longer than it is. Specifically, we get the first half of Chapter 8, all of Chapter 9, then the second half of Chapter 8. Jessica gets fairly close to handing her hat to Johnny before he leaves. In the book, security takes Johnny away as soon as the concert ends. Johnny's autographed picture is changed from black and white to color. Janet's brother gets Jessica at the end of the concert in both versions, only the graphic novel doesn't say who he is. So I was super confused when some random dude we've never seen before complains about Jessica's ride home. Janet's sister isn't in the graphic novel. Janet says the lines that her sister says in the book. Janet doesn't say where she got the signed photo of Johnny. In the book, she gets it at the refreshments tent. Which is so weird. Why are they not getting it from the merchandise tent? Mom, Elizabeth, and Mrs. Bramble drive around when looking for the lost dog. In the book, they walk around the neighborhood. Mom makes Elizabeth text Jessica from the car. In the book, they all have to go home so Elizabeth can call Jessica at Lila's house. They cut out most of Elizabeth's attempts to purposely delay everyone as long as possible. Mom is far less insistent that Jessica needs to pay back the dog-sitting money. Elizabeth sneaks in another complaint. Jessica didn't go dress shopping with her, so that's dress storyline number 13. In the book, Jessica's main priority is making sure Mom doesn't learn she snuck out to go to the concert. That's cut from the graphic novel. Elizabeth is harder on Jessica for her bad behavior, while Jessica is more apologetic. Mom gives Jessica more of a lecture in the car. Jessica still doesn't really get into trouble in either version. The twins are far more chatty and giggly in the final scene, where they agree to be best friends again. That's about 80 changes I noticed. They try to make Elizabeth more independent and less of a pushover. Jessica is less of a villain, as she no longer hates dogs, and she feels guilty about her bad behavior. She has a harder time convincing Elizabeth to go along with her schemes, in places. The other graphic novels also attempt to redeem Jessica and make her a better person. This is offset by the introduction of the dress storyline, which is mentioned 13 times. So now Jessica looks like a worse person, because she lies to her sister a lot more often.